do not think, oh no, they're gonna
That
first pick
champion is
Orianna.
nasty.
We have a plan. No, you don't. You just don't. I'm sorry, but yeah. So therefore, OMG gonna have the first pick here. Again, no bot lane ranged supports have been touched. We want to see Missing being able to do what he did last game. I know Bard isn't necessarily categorized as an enchanter of all enchanters.
He's an enchanter for me.
He's got some enchanting properties, you know. He's a ranged champion who really offers a lot down there. But oh boy, that is even more
pick.
OP than Orianna. That
is a premier pick right now in the LPL and across the world. LNG, their 1-2 punch. Cassante Zins out.
Hey, but that's Aura though. Like you know that they planned this draft out and they said, "Oh no, you're gonna first pick Rumble." Bet slam the Cassante Zins out. Which hey, not a heck of a not a terrible answer. Not bad at all. You know, when it comes to the Rumble, the main answers are those kind of tanks: the Cassante, the Aura, and the Scion. Or maybe you can go for the angles of like maybe a bit more range. You know, get like the Aurora or something like that. But Cassante being one of the more premier Rumble counter picks. Keep in mind, you cannot counter this champion. He's just too Z tier. But you can definitely not get completely roasted. You can at least stay alive. Staying alive is nice. Sure. When it's hard to do when they draft Rumble. So Cassante, Zins out, two very strong champions. And we'll have to see how they round out the comp though.
Yeah, I want to give some special kudos to OMG. They're giving themselves ease of execution. The Vi setting up for both an Ahri and a Rumble, that feels really, really good. And that's why we've seen Vi Ahri as a tried and true duo in mid jungle. But they're going to have to execute on that. Now we have the Lissandra on the other side for LNG.
Oh my goodness. That is literally so smart. Like,
yeah,
you almost never see this champion, by the way. Like this champion has been extremely under promise. You know, you haven't really seen this in the meta so much because she hasn't really found her spot. Well, guess what? A couple patches ago, they made a very cheeky change to Lissandra. You know what they did? They reduced her Q cooldown by just 1 second across the board. Sure. That's a really big deal. So suddenly Lissandra has become a much more powerful champion, but still, again, she has a bit of weaknesses that she doesn't have the most range. And if you're laning against, for example, an Orianna, something like that, you can never really keep up in the laning phase. But she's always been known as a good pick into the Ahri. And you know what else? The Frozen Tomb completely counters the cease and desist from Rio. So, you want to target me? Well, guess what? I'm a pillar of ice that you literally cannot damage. Please reconsider everything, says BuLLDog. So I love it. I haven't seen this before, the Lissandra into the Vi Ahri, but it makes so much sense, and I have a feeling, Mazel, we're going to see it more in the future.
I do like some of the focuses in the second phase here as well. We do have a lot of the bot lane being focused. The Seraphine comes away from the Ashe Seraphine duo that I'm sure one of these teams was looking at. The Nico, the Nami, also going to be banned away as the Nautilus. It is going to be counter pick left up here for 80 carry for LNG, as we do have the Milio locked in.
That is not something you see every day, but I think it can work quite well here, all things considered. I mean, you've got a lot of pairings you can go for with the Milio. It makes perfect sense as OMG here to slam the Yunara Lulu. And wow, I will say, Mazel, OMG has a very strong draft in the current meta. Everything about this draft is fully, like, I'm sure this comp has been drafted before. It's just a very good comp. It has everything across the board that you want. You got the Rumble, the Z tier pick, the first pick that, you know, really secures that value from your first pick stock. And you pair that up with the Vi to really capitalize. Equalizer plus Vi ult has always been a ridiculously powerful combo because you just can't move and you just get roasted to death. The same thing goes with the Ahri and the Vi. Some synergy there. Top that off with the Yunara Lulu. Great comp across the board. Whereas LNG, it's a bit more of a mix and match kind of this and that. You know, they all have their own use cases and value propositions, but they don't really come as like a cohesive S16 meta unit of a comp. So it's going to take a lot more skill to navigate.
And it's tough because I'm not the biggest believer in the Lucian. Even with the Milio, I still think the Yunara Lulu has been a ridiculous combo we've seen rising into priority. But I said at the beginning, I'll continue to say it. This series is going to 3. Both teams in their series before, everything has gone to 3. I think this is an OMG comeback. Maybe both teams finally went on red side for the first time. But this draft from OMG feels so easily pilotable. And I want to see them execute on it. Just for the sake of OMG. For the sake of Rio coming in as a sub now for Juhan. And for the sake of this series going the distance. Game 2 between LNG and OMG kicks off now.
This is the LNG home stadium, so
Suzhou.
we're hearing some LNG crowd chants, but again, yeah, it's gonna. You know what happened last time? The gyos were rather faint, and the game became very quiet and very tense, though. On a knife's edge was the last game. I want to see if that same dynamic takes place here, where again, both teams can. Find looks onto the enemies, but only ever getting summoner spells. Let's see if this game they can take it a step further and find some really good looks where enemies are fully overextended, punished, and slain in these first 10 minutes.
And just to remind everybody, last game was dictated heavily off the early presence of the junglers and how much top lane was being kind of attacked from both sides. A couple things going wrong and a couple good uses of macro TPs from LNG ended up giving them a bit of an advantage. Here in this game, I want to see if this bot lane is going to be any more focused than it was in game number 1. As we see the trades in the 2v2 coming out aplenty here. It is going to be barrier and heal already burned by OMG's bot lane. No summoner spells burned by LNG.
Yeah, it's seemingly a very favorable trade for LNG, but perhaps that is just the nature of this matchup. Perhaps that's why they drafted the Milio, knowing that this could come in. They'd have the Lucian as the last pick answer, not something you see every day.
Oh, Sheer. Oh, Sheer getting flashed on. Will have to expend his own. Probably going to have to look to TP back, but yeah, we're already seeing why Rumble is so lauded right now in the meta itself. Do want to give a check into the junglers, though, as we are coming to the culmination of their paths, both of them starting on the same side, pathing down towards bot lane.
All right, that could make things a bit more interesting for this early game comparatively to last game, as they had been pathing to the inverse side.
Ooh, the polymorph was really nicely done there by Moham. Does still take a huge hit. The piercing light doing decent damage. 1xn and missing. They do get pushed prio on bot lane.
They do get pushed prio, but Rio finishing his clear so efficiently, even though neither of his lanes really have prio, he just finesses that crab. His clear was so quick, but now he's going to defend his bot lane.
LNG trying to use a little bit of mind games here. They were on vision, though, and now Croco maybe overextending, not realizing they were spotted out. Croco goes back in, but Haichao has moved over now. Does miss the charm. LNG just weaving through everything that OMG is throwing at them.
Where's Haichao going?
He's on the wrong side of things now, but so is LNG. They're getting surrounded. It's a 4v3, and
oh no,
he just walks straight into the charm, but it means that Rio dies first. He's going to be fine for now. Now 1xn pops his barrier that he saved from earlier. One more auto. Oh, missing. That is unfortunate.
Yeah?
The flash play. Oh my god. 1xn is flow stating right now in game number 2.
Yeah, 1xn completely him and missing, taking over this bot lane matchup. I haven't seen necessarily who wins this one when it comes to the Lucian Milio versus Yunara Lulu, but apparently Lucian Milio hard wins the first 3 levels, and they really capitalize on that. That was such a crazy trade of spells. See, Croco flashing backwards as if to disengage, but it was almost an aggressive flash. If you really think about it, to not get knocked up and lose all that HP enables him to immediately dash back onto Rio and force his flash. So that's a really good usage of Croco's flash there. And I really was confused what Haichao's doing here. You see BuLLDog's just crashing the mid wave. So you have to get something here as OMG in this 4v3. You've got to, but they just can't. Photic living on a sliver of health and missing. I think almost maybe glad that he didn't get over the wall, because that could have been extremely awkward.
True.
Had he gotten over and not been able to kill Photic.
He flashed the Vitality 2018 emote. I feel like I'm playing one of the games of the connect the team names thing that everybody's doing nowadays. I'm just trying to figure out what the connection is, but in the end, really heads up play. And I think if Haichao lands like one more charm during that situation, it's a much different game, or at least game state. Now a lane gank coming through. It's going to be Rio trying to get some activity here. He has not been spotted just yet. They think there's wards. They think there's vision. LNG just playing mind games with OMG right now.
Yeah, I believe Rio just fully not spotted there, but
no, he wasn't.
Knows. Yeah, they just know where Vi can be. Maybe they know this is Rio, not Juhan, and this is how Rio would play this here. And somehow they're just fully able to read the fog of war and know where the danger points are at. It's a really important skill to have. You see him not stepping too close to the bush because he knows very well what could be in there. And enabling them to start up this Drake here. And this is the freest Drake ever. They've got huge priority from the mid lane and the bot lane. BuLLDog quietly building up a pretty big XP lead here in the mid lane ever since Haichao's roam.
They are just patrolling this bottom side of the map, man. They are in full control down here. The only saving grace is that Hery is trying to work with a little bit of an advantage in the top side, but about 1,000 gold lead this early into the game and an early dragon to start stacking up. It's going to feel pretty good for LNG. Just waiting for the moment for OMG to find exactly what they're looking for. About 1:20 for the grubs to come up. And again, you have to give respect to OMG's composition. It is very easy to execute, and if it's executed correctly, there is one person that probably won't get to play the video game and die.
Indeed, which is why I really like, of course, the Lissandra pick, because if they do choose you, BuLLDog, to be the target of those point-and-click abilities. Oh, no.
Yo, BuLLDog, that's a little bit tough.
That's an all-in here as OMG.
Oh, BuLLDog. Okay, well, he does have missing there. So, you know, the campfire, which is a frog, which campfire and a frog don't know how that works, but biology nonetheless. Oh, Haichao. Wanted to get one last little effort on the BuLLDog, but the BuLLDog's going to be looking at his keyboard, making sure things are okay for next time.
Yeah, I would say meaningful aggression here from OMG. They find a mistake from BuLLDog, which sometimes it can be really hard to find any mistakes from some of these really good players. And getting the flash out from the Lissandra is going to mean he's a much more valid target. As I was just about to highlight, he's definitely able to have a lot more safety versus, you know, Rio's point and click, but without the
level
flash,
advantage,
it's going to be scary.
1xN has a massive level lead over Moham and Photic right now. That's actually
they're not even going to hit
like
6 here, are they?
Yeah. Oh. But Rio has no support here. Like, BuLLDog is the first one here. Moham is around the corner, but he doesn't have ult. Rio just has to leave his own jungle. LNG are using this map pressure so well, Full.
Yeah, and guess what? That level lead that you're referring to is absolutely completely irrelevant here, because relevant without the, you know, IR, because this is extremely important. They can't even assist him without the wild growth, and they can't keep up with all that threat that's being offered there from 1xN and missing. You can't possibly defend your own jungle camps, and that's just going to mean Croco going to develop an even larger lead over Rio here. And I don't even know how you can prevent this gold lead from ballooning if you're Photic and Moham, because just look at how much priority and how much patrolling is being done here by LNG.
Yeah, they're constantly moving. I mean, you have BuLLDog.
He dropped his red buff to click here. Yeah. My jungler never does this.
He's roamed bot lane like 4 times, but they realize because they're giving grubs over, they have free play down on this bot side. There's some TPs coming in, and it will just be Haichao at least joining for now. But it's a slow and steady burn. Grubs do go down to OMG, so they at least get that. But map control is still on the bot side, at least, holistically in LNG's positioning as Haichao.
Beautiful.
So the charm, 3 talent strike comes through. You have the move from in bot lane as well. Photic going to get culled in the back. He should be okay for now. The healing is in shielding, at least from Moham, is going to be there for him. And LNG are just pushing between towers.
Oh.
My God, Croco, what are these plays, man? He is out to prove something tonight.
And it's a really good play too, because look at this. They've got all 3 champions recalling under their tier 2 tower. How is that even possible? Is this just an extremely good bot side draft? Like, you can draft apparently Lissandra and permanently patrol the bot lane with a Xin Zhao. And in hindsight, it makes a lot of sense. These are 2 really powerful skirmishing characters, and you just don't get to even exist under your own tower, Mazel. Let alone the fact that there is no cleanse, there is no Mikhails at this stage of the game. If BuLLDog points and clicks on your head with the frozen tomb, you're just a free target. And they're not even still finding any proactivity. BuLLDog's flash gonna come up in, over a minute's time here, and that mistake he made about 3 minutes ago might not even matter.
And I think we've given a lot of context to why this series matters so much, but I do want to talk about OMG a little bit. We're going to bring up a little graphic that shows off the rest of the opponents, at least for both teams. The big thing I want you to focus on, the main story there, is that OMG after this series have 2 series left. We already have 2 teams with 2 wins in Group Nirvana. Bottom 2 teams in Group Nirvana are done for 2026. You are running out of options, and if it doesn't turn around now, you might be doomed.
Exactly. You're in 5th place in the standings out of 6 here. So you're already in the bottom 2, which means you have to win to change that. And this is their 3rd last series, already sitting at 0-1, meaning if they lose this, it's going to be like, this is essentially a must win.
And you're not playing for 2 more weeks. You saw that there as well. Like, both of their last series are in the last week of play. So you're going to go from a very chaotic, if they lose this game, wondering what the hell does OMG look like when they're successful, and you're going to sit on that for 2 weeks trying to build back and then have your last hurrah. So OMG, they need to put it together, and it's looking like it's coming together now. There's the frozen tomb used onto Rio, though. Rio going to still continue to lock down Croco, who doesn't even get his crescent guard off. That's a really nice pick ahead of the dragon for OMG, and they'll get Missing's flash. And
you know why? That's a beautiful identification from OMG to notice and realize that Hery has the TP advantage. Sheer's teleport is on cooldown, and every single timer when those top laners complete those quests, as you can see at the top of the scoreboard, it's so powerful. Just TPing with a 30% HP shield. Hery completely swinging the bot side play in their favor, getting them the Drake. And again, this XP lead in the mid lane, however, is just it's just building and building for BuLLDog over Haichao. He got the kill, though. Let's highlight that. Haichao did get the kill.
There you go.
So that's going to help.
Got a stack on his Dark Seal, it's all good. There's like a full level advantage for 1xN right now and about a 1.4k lead, but we won't worry about that for now. But I will say, I wonder if we get a replay of that one. I would love to see the timing on that, because I feel like if Croco is able to get the Crescent Guard off, things are a lot different there. But really good execution, setup from OMG, and that's some of the bread and butter we needed to see from them with this draft. We called how good this draft looks for OMG. It's just about the pilots now at this point.
Yeah, it seems like they're really trying to dig themselves out of a hole that took place in this early game around that bot lane tribe rush, where unfortunately things didn't pan out. It was a bit of a lack of synergy, if anything, from Haichao and Rio. You can only wonder how much that has to do with the fact that they're alternating junglers. But we saw the charm hit, but unfortunately Rio did not land the vault breaker onto the charm target, and ever since then they just haven't been able to fully recover. So that is a huge opportunity to secure a Drake, to slow down the game and negate this gold lead that has been building in the mid lane. As you said, let's just overlook for now the 1500 gold lead in the bot lane. It's just so bad that we can just ignore it and feel better about ourselves. But it's bad when even after you just pick up a kill, you're still not even much of a gold lead, as this Ahri versus Lissandra here. So more combat in the bot lane.
1xN might get, he's playing really confident because his team is right behind him, but Rio's waiting in the wings. He knows
without knowing.
Tomb's going to get used as well, and here comes Croco with a flank behind the turret. Rio finally shows his face. They lock down Croco, take him down. The charm does miss. That's going to be unfortunate, but he might be able to continue chasing. Rio goes back in on the 1xN, but some good damage from 1xN does bring him back. BuLLDog goes in with a double root, but can't do much after. Another charm comes through, but Haichao immediately has to flash away. It's going to be a huge play on the bot side, a little bit of redemption for OMG.
Okay, we are picking up some gold here as OMG, but alas, it seems the play isn't as favorable as you'd hope. The only sparing detail here, which I like to notice, is that Haichao does have the Dark Seal. He's got the 2 kills, and he's got 4 stacked into that ring, which is really going to help matter.
This is just bold from LNG. I mean, they're just messing around at this point.
This is just all that they've seemed to be doing all game. It's just fully highlighting and focusing this bot lane down here, really enabling 1xN to have a huge lead here over Photic. And you got a feel for Photic, you know, back against the wall, OMG facing elimination from the LPL, and how can you even properly play if they're targeting you this hard? So that gold lead doesn't jump up too much, you know, it's only 1.6k now, you know? But thankfully Haichao, as I said, the silver lining of all of this, he does have himself a sizable lead, and the Dark Steel stacks don't show themselves in the gold lead, but that is another factor to help him be strong enough to get his team over this finish line.
It is indeed, and we're working on second items now, but we do have pretty good item parity at the moment. Rift Herald did get taken by LNG, so that'll be some standing gold they can use probably in the mid lane, unless they want to try to take down a side lane turret. But that lead has been chunked down, and you know the stacking dragons have gone away, at least for LNG. But there is another dragon in about a minute, and I think we did just get second item completion with the Navoy Flicker Blade there for 1xN, so he's going to be feeling himself in this next fight from the full damage-centric build here. But are we starting to see a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel for OMG?
Yeah, and I think it's especially because of the fact that their composition is really stock standard. It's
good.
The way to pilot this comp is, yeah, it's a very good comp, and they should know how to pilot this. It almost pilots itself. If anything, you pretty much just bind Rio, point and click onto somebody, set up a charm for Haichao. That does.
Ooh.
Oh, I don't think
it's a flash out from Moham.
But yeah, the fact that Milio exists makes it hard to play the Ahri Vi is what I was gonna say.
It does, yeah. I will say though, Croco's been killed multiple times, and it's gonna feel good for the single target focus, at least of OMG. I said, and one person doesn't really get to play the game, and you know if it's the main frontliner, now that I guess Shear's here, it doesn't make that much more sense. But Croco is a good focus here for OMG. They're a little bit late to pulling into this pit. It is going to be 2,000 health on the Dragon. They just go for Shear, but Shear's doing a beautiful job of tanking in the front line. Another charm goes wide. Equalizer in the back of the pit. LNG can't really get out of here. They're going to have to escort themselves. Rift Herald coming through. They could use it as a play here. There's the cease and desist coming in from Rio into BuLLDog, but BuLLDog goes into the Frozen Tomb. LNG trying to find their place here. Shear flashes onto Moham. Moham is down. The Rift Herald play comes through from Missing as 1xN solos down Hery. LNG, you blink, and they already found an almost ace over OMG. Oh, Missing.
Rio
Missing survives.
He can't get there, and unfortunately, he might be next on the menu. Gonna escape with his life, but you know what I love about that? The combat Rift Herald Mazel. Do you see how much work that put in?
Dude, what a goat. What an absolute goat.
Absolute legend. You know the thing with these support champions is sometimes they have to use all of their survivability, like all of the tools that help their allies survive on their allies, and nobody's there to save them. But guess what? The Rift Herald is able to say, you help us and I will help you. So finally somebody is able to help Missing survive, because he was toast had it not been for this combat Herald.
Dude, I love the innovation of using Rift Herald in a fight to just make it that much more complicated for the enemy team. He gets massive knock. That's potentially going in the top 5 plays of the week. Like, that was insane.
I mean, that was completely game swinging. Completely took that fight over. You saw that he even fully runs over Photic. You know, that does 250 true damage. Chunking him pretty does. I don't even think he's got much HP. So that's already like a 1/6 of his HP bar gone. And then he has to flash the wall anyway. That completely disrupted Photic's fight. And Missing, he lives, and I'm pretty sure he crashed it into the tower as well. Like, what more value could you ask for? What an extremely effective usage of that.
Those are the kinds of moments that I need to see from Missing. Missing is a guy that you know, has had his downs, but has had a lot of ups as well in his LPL career, and he's been around for a while. As I don't get to speak about it because 1xN just gets pounced on. He's going to flash away with the close. What a play from Missing and 1xN. OMG left wanting.
They unfortunately maybe cannot, but that is really the value of the Milio as I was looking to highlight into the RE buy. Because the cease and desist, you can avoid it, but you cannot avoid the cease and desist. But you know what you can do? You can avoid the follow-up charm thanks to that Breath of Life from Missing. And what a masterclass in the draft, if anything, to opt into the Milio, such as to make sure that this Vi Ahri is not nearly as powerful as it usually is.
You can see the threat, but the fact that LNG have answers to it is the hardest part for OMG. I do got to give some credit, though. 2 items now for Photic. That's going to feel a little bit better. But you're looking on the other side, and your opposing AD carry has an almost 3K gold lead. And that's what I want to focus on here. Is 1xN has actually been putting up numbers this series, and it's against Photic, who's coming in. Obviously, a little bit of a different situation with OMG trying to just fluctuate their roster. But 1xN has been kind of the guy here as of late, and honestly has shown some really good performances. Some mistakes, obviously, that are going to come with a journeyman or at least a budding player itself, but it's been really cool to see him and 1xN kind of flesh together.
Absolutely. Missing being a player who's really had, what did you say, 700 games in the LPL?
700 games.
That is insane to me. Because
13th on the list.
Gee, that's crazy, by the way, because the LPL, this actually is a callback for me, but I don't think we can talk because there might be some combat taking place here. This is on a knife's edge. I'm so scared of this Foggle. Right now the observers are absolutely freaking me out. But there was this video that was made about, somebody made a comment about every single LCS player that there ever was, you know. Yeah. And I saw a hilarious comment on Twitter, which was that now I'd like to see you try doing that about the LPL, because I just don't even think you could. There's hundreds and hundreds of players who have ever played in this league, if not thousands, and to think that he would be 13th on that list is crazy. 700 games for Missing, pairing up with a pretty young player, a young superstar prodigy here in 1xN. This is really a recipe for success for LNG, and just to fully hit the point home, I love having you have that there, that synergy there in the bot lane. You pair that up with this Korean mid-jungle superstar duo, a Croco BuLLDog, you know, Croco being 5 years older, really here to be BuLLDog's young, if you will, those who know. And it's just such a good roster that they built here for themselves. Even bringing in Sheer, one of the youngest prodigy top winners of all time. I gotta say myself one more time, LNG to world.
Well, we'll see if that's the case. As it's OMG looking for a fight here. Dragon is up. It would be soul point for LNG, but they are standing tall. Gotta say, a little bit of a bright spot is if they can put this comp together for OMG, it could feel really good, but one missed charm immediately sends up the white flag. LNG puts some pressure with the culling. 1xN extending way too far. He doesn't get the Breath of Life here, but they're going to save it. They're going to get the triple knock up. There you go. There's the Breath of Life, but it might not be enough. They're taking down Rio. Flashes coming out from LNG. Resets coming through for Haichao. It's going to be multi-down for OMG, and LNG are sent packing.
Wow, that was like, I'm not sure who was actually targeting who there, which team was on the front foot or the back foot. It turns out low-key both. But you know what really carried that fight for me was the wild growth from Moham, just knocking everybody up. And that's gonna equal out the Drake stacking. There's still a 2K gold lead for the side of LNG. But yeah, here, I can't really tell who's in the front foot. You see them zoning them so far away. First the Xin Zhao threat, then the culling. And then OMG decides, hold up, that's a little bit too far,
so
Mr. 1xN. Just completely flash ulting on top of his head. The barrier, the Milio ult, everything coming in, and it looks like he might survive. But then comes the wild growth, and that is the difference between them winning this fight.
And maybe one of those mistakes that I just foreshadowed to for 1xN, just not realizing the position he was in. Rio was just waiting for an overextension, and that's what exactly OMG wanted. Now, that lead was cut down to size, still pretty sizable in the end, but that dragon stacking has been quelled for the moment for LNG, so it's something to think about, as it will be OMG with more time to scale, more time to get some more of these items in, as we do have second items across the board. So is that picture perfect setup for OMG? just take down 1XN and we're all good?
I mean, yeah, that's about as good as it's going to get in terms of the looks you're going to find. And, you know, I think a lot of that is due to the previous play. Remember they found 1XN around the top river, that red buff, where Rio ults onto him. He flashed backwards with the Breath of Life. Well, guess what? 1XN didn't have flash because of that. And so now he does. So it might be the kind of thing where you got to do this in a 2-turn cycle. You play the first turn to try and burn the flash. Maybe you kill him that time, less likely. But then the second time, when 1XN has no flash, how on earth are you surviving that? All that dive on top of your head, and then there's even a wild growth to knock you up. Probably an equalizer in there too. This composition just completely one-shots whoever it wants. And, you know, there's a Lissandra, there's a Xin, there's a Cassante. Those are not the easiest targets. So it's just going to be the game of, can you find 1XN, and can you just fully send everything onto it?
And I guess in a lot of veins, we do have some serious scaling on both sides, but it feels like the team fight scaling for OMG just gets stronger and stronger once these third, fourth items start hitting the board.
Yeah, absolutely they do. This is the composition where we were saying is pretty easy to pilot, is a pretty strong composition overall, especially once those items start coming in. This composition practically plays itself. We've got a pretty big lead here.
TP coming in from Haichao. Oh, and they have the Eye of Ruin. They immediately get the Breath of Life out for missing. It's 5 members, but they are scared. LNG are in trouble here. Haichao was looking for an angle. A little bit of a hesitancy from OMG, as it will be LNG that still have a turret to defend out here.
Yeah, Haichao not quite wanting to start spirit rushing forward there. Kind of understandable. I don't think they really had many ways to get vision. A little culling for poke.
He's scared
this
time,
really
though. He does not go forward.
Like, the way these comps play out is extremely interesting. It's kind of a back and forth, you know. You see, at points, it's like 3 to 5 seconds of OMG walking forwards, and then it's 3 to 5 seconds of LNG walking forwards, and they keep kind of ping-ponging each other back and forth, saying, no, you can't stand there, nor can you stand there. And eventually, something hits the fan, and the fight breaks out. Thankfully, that time, for the side of LNG, they did not get caught out, because the way Hery works, as Knight himself has demonstrated time and time again, if you can just head up for one reset can become 5. And that, I did see a glimpse of it, where Hery just completely kills everyone there. But thankfully, they were able to escape those clutches. Regardless of the gold lead, I don't think LNG is necessarily in the most favorable position of all time. It's a pretty even game here.
About 1 minute 15 seconds till that next dragon. We're going to see if third items are going to come through, especially for our mid laners, as Rabadon's is being cooked up by Haichao. Rio was a little bit out.
He loves these bushes, huh?
He does love the bushes. He's seeing if he can make a little bit of an impact ahead of these fights here potentially. He is really waiting up here.
And see, I don't think Juhan will be doing this, so this could be the difference.
Dude, the delayed setup here. Oh, Rio.
He's in the wrong bush.
Can he get over to Haichao in time? That's going to be Spirit Rushes used. Now
they see you, bro.
Oh, no. Rio, he's in so much damn trouble right now. He's going to try to get executed here. He's going to run for the hills. Is he going to be able to make
Drake
it out?
in
Should
30
be fine.
seconds. If you die here, it's just completely cooked.
He's going to go for the exit. But it's Croco that finds him, striking true against Rio, and he'll just go down. What a massive flub there from OMG, right ahead of a crucial objective for control of the map.
Yeah, a total mistake there, because
They just go for the Baron? They're just going to go for the Baron?
Now, this is bold. This is not a guaranteed look at all. This can completely backfire as LNG. It makes you wonder, maybe they just want to start a fight?
Yeah, I mean, there's no engage
no
right now.
There's no smite.
If you think, and there's no engage. It's not like OMG have the biggest engage tools of all time. They have the only person that can really initiate things is Rio, and he's no longer there. It's LNG that get a Baron at 29 minutes, and they could go for a soul point.
That's just right off of the back of Rio's mistake, and I thought that they don't burn that Baron down nearly as quick. Flashing in is Croco.
That's wild growth down too. Sheer chasing down Hery now. They don't go for the long play here. They're going to look for the dragon now. Ping's coming down there. 1XN and missing. Need to be a little bit careful. Looks like they want to try to play with this Baron buff a little bit more.
Yeah, you definitely want to secure the Drake as soon as you can. Start that soul timer counting down, but you lose Croco's flash there for a pretty overzealous play. You get Moham's heal and his ulti, so you did at least get something for your efforts. But yeah, a total mistake from Rio there, because I was going to say, I think it's a pretty clever look to be in those bushes, but I think he made a total mistake. He went from the second bush into the deeper third one, and that's where he went wrong, because he wasn't in range to assist Haichao with BuLLDog's attempt onto him, and then for whichever reason, he accidentally reveals himself on the minion wave between the two bushes, and you see that LNG immediately pounces on that misposition, causing them to not only get Rio's life, but the Baron and the Dragon as well, completely putting LNG all the way in the driver's seat.
I mean, yeah, their lead is just going to balloon now as well. Hasn't been that big yet, but they haven't even sieged yet. Saving grace, though, man. Haichao, he is just sitting there like Spider-Man between the two metro subways. He is trying to pull it together. 4-0 on this Ahri. We talked about him coming into the series, how important he is for OMG, the confidence that was oozing from this guy. But he has to find a way to make this lead into reality as they are losing their base.
We finally get to see Haichao on some agency. Hold up, Hery's going to be alive for now.
Haichao forced to use the Spirit Rush. Wild Growth was also used, but they might find the pick. Here comes the equalizer. Rio is the one that gets picked again. He subbed in, but now he is 0-4, and OMG, the carousel at jungle did not fix it. LNG are looking for a quick-throated finish here by this setup. 31.5 minutes in. They could just end the game. They have 30 seconds on the Baron.
Could end the entire game here.
They have 4 cannon minions.
4 cannon minions. Okay, well, it's chopping. You got to do something.
You have to engage. You're missing Rio, but a charm connects. It needed to be now. It's not now. LNG, they're looking for their first series win of this spring split. And it's over OMG as the final engage comes through. Everything's used.
Just like that.
OMG's hopes are dashed. LNG with the 2-0 will put OMG down to 0-3.
Practically out of thin air, LNG just fully takes the game state over and forces themselves into their first series win here of Split 2 in Group Nirvana, putting OMG at a very scary spot now, meaning they've got 2 series left, which is probably going to mean they're both must-win series, as far as I can tell, in order to stay alive in the LPL, or else they're just fully eliminated, all off of the back of a very strange, bizarre pick onto Rio. That game was completely fine. They had themselves some pretty good looks. Remember, they got that, was it the 4th Drake with the triple kill Wild Growth? That was beautiful. And it just all for naught, as alas, somehow, some way, Rio just gets caught out. Sometimes your ingenuity can be a double-edged sword, and in that case, it befell onto him.
Feels so bad for OMG, but for LNG, 1xN missing stonks to the skies. They were incredible. 1xN put VODS down in this series.